In this story from the New York Post, Tyson Foods hoping to hire over 40,000 immigrants for labor manufacturing jobs report. The first criticism I have is for the New York Post, because this is a fake news headline. They're not immigrants, they're criminal aliens.
Thank you. Illegal aliens. Thank you.
Criminal aliens is the legal term. Illegal alien is a political term. Illegal immigrant, criminal alien. Because they
Agreed.
are.
I'll change to that. I'm going to use criminal. I like it.
This is the thing, we get. Who was it who said, "I'm sorry for Biden apologized for calling that murderer, alleged murderer, an illegal."
The one that bashed Laken Riley's head in. That piece of trash. Yes.
He said, not a trial, to be fair. He hasn't been convicted.
Right. So he said illegal and then apologized for it. And I said, I'm deeply offended as well. And I'm glad Joe Biden apologized for saying illegal. I just don't like his follow up. The appropriate term is criminal alien. Someone who crosses the border illegally is a criminal alien. That's how they describe them in law.
Thank you.
Illegal, people say illegal alien, and then they're like, no, say illegal alien. That's the term, or illegal immigrant. I'm like, no, this is criminal alien. I mean, that's
look how they've
we'll keep it
softened
academic.
Right? During the Obama years, it switched to undocumented worker, and if you just saw in the last 3 to 4 weeks, the White House started putting out press releases, and I've seen it now in California from local lawmakers, Democrats. They've changed undocumented worker to newcomers. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
Now it's newcomers.
Illegal immigrant.
Us even more.
Illegal immigrant is that. They softened criminal alien into illegal immigrant.
Yep.
So they could change the action the individual took from a status. And then they changed illegal immigrant to undocumented immigrant to change status. And now they're saying newcomers. Then they said, actually, in between us, unauthorized immigrant.
When I was growing up, it was
crime to cross the border. And so legally, they were always referred to as criminal aliens.
When I was growing up, I always knew progressive, I grew up in New England, progressive parents who would say, well, they're just undocumented citizens. They're part of our communities. They're citizens. They do stuff, but they're undocumented, which, again, they're people who broke the law by being in the country. So I don't really think that's a very civic mindset. But nonetheless, we're not supposed to be exclusionary. I don't know. It seems crazy.
Let's jump to the news. Tyson Foods says it's eager to hire over 40,000 asylum seekers, they call it, and migrants arriving in the United States, according to a report from Bloomberg. The multinational food conglomerate is allegedly hoping to hire personnel from the massive influx of migrants coming into the country. Here's what I'd say. If Donald Trump gets elected, the first thing he should do is, should Tyson hire any of these criminal aliens, Tyson should face serious criminal penalties.
Yes.
It's a corporation, so we don't actually do much other than take their money from them. But hiring people who criminally entered the country and then offering them jobs. But you see, here's the real deal. Tyson's hoping the quote unquote border security bill, which it's not, the amnesty bill gets passed because it would allow for work permits for criminal aliens. Basically, the issue the Democrats have with all of the border crossings is that they are currently criminal aliens. The bill they proposed that they want everyone to sign, and they're calling a border security bill, it will actually end illegal immigration. Did you know this?
The Senate bill. Not HR 2 from the House, Republicans. The Senate bill.
No. The House.
HR 2.
That funded Ukraine, Israel, and had money for the border.
Oh, that new one.
Yeah,
not the one that's never been signed.
That would absolutely end illegal immigration in this country. I was the one the
Freedom Caucus brought up in the House, which nobody signed.
If the bill that the Democrats want signed would end illegal immigration by legalizing all of it. It would no longer be illegal to enter the country, so there wouldn't be illegal immigration.
And then what would the Republicans just complain about? You know what I mean? No, I mean, this is what I find really interesting, which is that it's the total replacement of people who don't agree with this mindset, right? They're saying, we would like to have a new class of citizens here because you guys don't agree and let us run the country the way we want to. And I think that is very antithetical to the American experience. We had immigration for years and years. That's how we got this country was built. But the idea was that we are coming here as people who want to represent an American value system, to participate and contribute. And I think by opening the door to the idea that anyone who shows up and lives in whatever community they decide there's no way to ask them to become a citizen because you are fragmenting your country to people who are just arriving and taking part in a system they don't actually want to be part of. In fact, they are typically also sending money to family overseas or, in other countries. I can understand the desire to help your family. On the other hand, I don't think breaking the law by entering another country is the way to do that.
But there's no other modern society nation, Europe or wherever you look, that does what we do, that allows this. And then also, they make you embrace, they used to, make you embrace their heritage and become part of their society. We don't do that anymore. There's a soundbite that's making the rounds again from Obama when he was running first time for office. And he was literally saying some of the immigration laws he wanted to put into place were penalizing these companies like Tyson so strong they would never hire. Of course, he called them undocumented workers, but at least he was pushing for that. So what the hell happened from 2008 to 2024 that every past president before Trump has said that phrase? We've all seen the clips. We're a nation of immigrant, but we're a nation of laws, and we got to follow them. Clinton said it. W said it. Obama said it. All the way back to Reagan. They all said it.
Not anymore.
But not anymore.
And I don't think anyone's taking into consideration what the next 10 years will look like if they keep allowing millions of non-citizens into major cities.
We're replaced. That's number one. You know they're trying to replace the electorate in general, whether it's through the census, because they'll put these millions rather, in the right state. So when they redo the census in a year or two, they'll have new House districts. So the Dems will control more House districts. And they'll eventually, as you just said, Tim, make them allowed to vote, because they're already starting to do it in certain cities. In Chicago, and I think was it Boston and others, they're working on allowing illegals to vote in local races already. Now, it's illegal for them to vote in federal, but that's just a matter of time. That's coming in the next couple of years if we don't stop this. Or before, if we don't stop this bloodbath.
We are going to have in most major cities what is effectively enclaves of non-American communities.
Yeah.
I saw this happen in Sweden when I went to Rinkeby and was threatened and forced to flee, and the police escorted us out, and the police lied about it. When Sweden allowed in the Somali migrants in the 90s, they just put them in effectively like enclaves. They said, okay, you all just go here. So all of these people from Somalia come in. I believe it was Somalia. And they, it might have been Sudan, but I think it's Somalia. They form an enclave, a community. They have kids. Those kids grow up in their community where they're not Swedish. They don't speak Swedish. Right. They're not part of the community. And Swedish people are extremely racist. And I think, in my experience, having talked to a bunch of locals and to some of the migrants, Sweden is probably one of the most racist countries I've been to. Although I think it's fair to say that like China, Japan,
Iceland is. I was stationed there.
They're all very ethno-nationalist.
Yeah, Icelandic people like Icelandic people. That's it.
In Sweden, if you don't speak Swedish properly, they discriminate against you. They scoff at you. They have attitudes against you. And I'm sure not all Swedish people, of course, but I talked to too many people who are immigrants from various parts of the world who said the same thing, that they're very non-friendly, but they want to claim they are liberal and very warm and welcoming, so they form enclaves for themselves while they tout how prestigious they are. It's the epitome of like liberal elitism.
Yes.
But in Rinkeby, you end up with these kids growing up in a society where they are Swedish. They have no home country to go back to, but they barely speak the language. They don't view the cops as part of their communities. And so they view themselves as an isolated community, to the point where there was one incident in a town called Södertälje where these aren't even refugees or migrants. These are the children of migrants. So they're born in Sweden, driving in a car, and I think it was at a bank or something. This is a story that we interviewed the mayor. I believe we interviewed the mayor. Fully automatic rifle out of the sunroof and just unloading on, I think it was a bank or something. That's what happens when you have people who think, I am not a part of your country.
Right. Look what's happening in London. They've got enclaves of Muslims that have come from different Middle Eastern countries, and they've had wars against the cops, attacks on locals, and you're seeing these enclaves pop up now outside of Detroit, outside of Minneapolis. It's already happening in America, where you've got lots of folks from the Sudan, Somalia, different Middle Eastern countries as well, that have set up shop, but they're staying tight-knit, and they're not becoming part of America. They're not learning our heritage, not becoming Americans. I saw a person post something right before I walked in today. I forget who it was. The actor, Danny Trejo, who is probably a little more liberal than he acts sometimes, but he at least posted something today saying, look, you can be coming in from Mexico, where his family's from, or wherever, but by God, at least once you're here, become American. Raise that flag and fly it proudly. You can have your heritage, and you can be proud you're from Brazil or Guatemala or El Salvador. But if you're coming here, do it, number one, legally, and two, learn our freaking language, and three, embrace your heritage while you learn ours, and become a Mexican American.
And this is what Joe Biden's trying to do. The bill they're trying to get passed, claiming it's for security, would legalize all of the criminal activity that's happening on the border. So basically then, as all of these non-citizens flood the country, they can say, this is our legal immigration process. What do you mean?
There's a man on trial in Norway right now. I think his name's near Madapur, and he and his family immigrated from Iran, and when he was 12, they fled as refugees. They were seeking asylum in Norway. He's 44 now, so that means the majority of his life he's lived in Norway. But he's a avowed member of the Islamic State. He was basically radicalized because we were talking about this. This is something that I remember learning at my at college, which, as we know, tends to lean very left, which is that people who are from a very strict culture, they feel very othered in the country that they flee to seeking asylum or whatever, will often become radicalized extremists. They'll seek out the sort of far right parts or the more radical parts of the culture that they came from. So this man is on trial because he opened fired at at a gay bar in a neighborhood the week of it was in Pride Month 2022. And I remember writing the story. I don't remember if Chris can remember when I turned this one in, but he had gone on trial, and the judge, it was Ramadan had just started, and he asked the judge, well, how can we be in trial? It's Ramadan. And the judge was like, I've reviewed all of the things that I can review, and I don't see a conflict. And he was like, but you guys don't have court on Easter. And it's like, yes, because they are not an Islamic country. They have different values. And so it would make sense that they would be observing different
today
holidays.
Versus a few years ago and normalcy. We were telling people you need to become an American. Now we're like, no. Bring your ideals and your heritage and you can live that way in America. But problem is, folks from those third world countries don't operate like us. A lot of them don't value life like we do. And no, I'm not talking about the abortion issue, just a human life. They don't value the things Americans value. And this regime, I don't call them administration, the Biden regime and this radical liberal agenda is allowing them to come in illegally and then live their way instead of adapting and becoming American.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.